One time I sat and asked myself, what if I came through with all the plans that I've made in the last 5 years? I mean, year in, year out, what would my life look like today if I kept all the promises that I made to myself? Damn, I thought. The next obvious question was, well, what happened? Why did I not do that? I mean, get to the other side of my well carried out plans, the more successful, wealthier, healthier, fit, intelligent me. Did I not make enough effort? Was I not making the right effort? Was I not planning well? What was wrong with my execution? Did I not execute at all? What did I miss? If you're watching this video, you may have made your plans for the year, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you don't know how. Maybe you are tired of breaking your promises to yourself on the things that you say you'll do. Or maybe you're actually making plans and considerable effort and you're just not getting the results that you hope for, and you've decided to wing it going forward. This video might be the only thing standing between you and that version of yourself that you dream of becoming. So stick around. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you 3 things. 1, the reason you're making plans and promises to yourself and not carrying them out. I mean the gap between planning and doing, and how to close that gap. 2, how to chart a course from where you are now, good, bad, terrible, I hate my life, I don't want to do this anymore, to where you actually want to be. And 3, how to execute when you plan. I mean, keep the promises that you make to yourself. So let's lay it out. Do you need a plan? The answer is yes. Will life happen? Most probably will. But it's not a reason to not plan. You need a North Star, something to orient you in the world. President Eisenhower is considered one of the greatest strategic thinkers of the 20th century. But in a conference in 1957, he said, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. It's like, what do you mean plans are worthless? Do you want to lead a war without a plan? But what he meant was that a plan is not an end as we often see it, a piece of paper in which we've written what we'll do and what will happen and what we'll do next. Because when life happens, and it will, it is more important that you are skilled in the art of planning than it is that you've made a great plan. Because only a few things ever go according to plan. So planning is an art. The art of plotting a course and learning from your mistakes in the execution of that course, and changing course as life situations, your environment, your behavior changes, and those things will change. Because again, when situations change, it's more important that you know how to plot a course than it is that you have an expired course plotted on a piece of paper. Because then what do? This is why most people never fulfill their plans. They think that the plan is the end. Do what's in the plan, get the results, move on. Wrong. The plan is the start. The biggest asset that you will have is your capacity to meet the situations that come before you. Your schedule might change, your dependency might change, your environment, behavior, all the things you don't anticipate might change. So the art of reviewing your plans, not just for the sake of carrying them out, but so that you can align them as required, is a skill, and you can learn it. My first promise is to show you why you're making plans and promises to yourself and not coming through on them. So let's call this chapter Plans and Promises. Planning can be delightful. Growth plans, money plans, travel plans, relationship plans, business plans, fitness plans, all plans. Planning makes your goals, even the most audacious of them, start to look feasible, from a day's to-do list to a 2-year goal, laying out what you do now and next and next and next and what should happen after you take each step. It makes you feel closer to achieving your goals even without taking any steps yet. There's a satisfaction that comes with it. There's an actual dopamine release when you plan. You step into that future version of yourself for a little bit. You become that successful YouTuber, the vlogger, the artist, the unicorn, right? The president. And that's just human. One of our greatest gifts is our ability to dream and charge towards a goal. Research actually shows that people that say they have miserable lives actually do, because they are not charging towards a meaningful goal or an adventure, right? And part of that misery is not always a lack of outward progress. Sometimes it's the dissatisfaction that comes from knowing that you could be pursuing something meaningful, but you're not. That idea, that venture you've been thinking about, right? And your unpursued dreams and goals and ventures will always haunt you deep inside, because it's your higher self begging to come out. And one of the simple, effective ways of expressing your higher self is doing what you plan. It's planning and doing what you plan. It's that challenge that comes with laying out a course and taking it. And part of why we don't do this is the gap. So let's talk about the gap. There are two pains most people experience with plans. One is the pain of not doing what they plan, so execution. Two is the pain of executing and not getting results, so, well, no results. The gap addresses the first one. About 92% of people that set New Year's goals and resolutions never actually achieve them, right? And on a smaller scale, about 41% of to-do list items never get done. The interesting part is only about 15% of the things that get done actually started out as to do, right? This is the gap. What does this mean? It's the fact that we don't do much of what we plan, and we do a lot of things that we don't plan. The first reason for this is projection bias. So let's say you're hungry, you head to the grocery store. You load up your cart with snacks along with the groceries that you need to make real food. And then you get home, you start with the snack, right? Everyone starts with the snack. It's the next hour. Your food is ready, but you're not hungry anymore. But I was starving, you wonder. Well, this is called projection bias. We tend to overestimate how similar our current self will be to our future self. You subconsciously predict how hungry your future self will be with how hungry you are now. So you load up your cart with all sorts of things that will not really matter in the next couple of hours. This is a big deal because planning is all about the future, whether it's in 2 months or it's in 2 hours. The calm, rested version of you making plans is probably not going to be the one executing those plans. It's a Sunday afternoon and you're making plans to start your new side hustle. For example, you grab a nice cup of coffee and you plot your way to $1 million within a year. In your plans, you have things like wake up at 4 a.m. every day, read a chapter of a business book, reach out to 100 leads, reinvest 100% of your revenue for the first 6 months, make content 3 times a week, and on and on and on. Which you can very well do, except that it's Monday and you have a job, possibly a family, financial obligations and responsibilities that you can't just up and run away from. Most days of the week are chaotic for you. Mondays are a nightmare. Tuesdays are carnage. Wednesdays are, God help me, right? You still want to wake up at 4 a.m.? Your plan's already failing because of projection bias. You projected how pumped, balanced, rested, and willing to actually do that side hustle you were on Sunday to the rest of the week. So you do little to nothing of what you plan to do. To understand the gap, you must understand the timeline. In a great plan, there are 3 people in the process, and they each have different priorities across the timeline. There's the current you, the planner. This is the person that makes plans for the future. Now, you have to understand this person has dreams, goals, visions, gets excited about the future, plans for it, but usually less realistic. Then there's the keeper, still you, but this is the version of you that gets the job done, that executes the plan, the doer or keeper of promises, if you will. This person carries out the plans, makes daily decisions, deals with the challenges that come with execution, like unplanned events, life. And finally, there's the winner, the future you, the one that gets the benefit of a well-executed plan or the results of not doing much. All 3 versions of you should be brought to bear when you're making plans. The idea is that if the planner does a great job, then the keeper should be fine. If the keeper does a great job, then you should win. So here's the flow. As the planner, the winner is the first guy you bring to the scene. This will excite you, help you plan, help you see further than your current reality. Then you bring the keeper to the scene so you can be realistic about what's possible in execution. This is where you imagine the version of yourself that will execute the plan. You assign tasks to that version. You put your ambition side by side with your capacity for execution, right? Based on your behaviors, your habits, typical day in your life. It's where you tell yourself the truth. You're not getting up at 4 because then you won't get enough sleep and you'll be miserable throughout the day. It's where you tell yourself that you're not going to be able to read for 90 minutes. You probably just don't have the time, the patience. Your day is chaotic. You may not just be able to get it in. How about we try 30 and grow from there, right? It's better that you read for 30 minutes every day throughout the week than it is that you try to read for 90 minutes every day and at the end of the week you've read nothing. It's where you tell yourself the truth, sometimes the truth that hurts. So picture an argument between the planner and the keeper. You can read for 90 minutes. No, I can't. When have I ever done that? Yes, you can. How hard can it be? Hell no, I'm stuck in traffic for 2 hours every day after spending 8 hours at work cold calling. Right. You need this tension between you and you, between the planner and the keeper, to put some rigor to your plan. It makes you reach a point where you're ambitious yet realistic. Of all three of you, the keeper is the most important person, right? And look, when in doubt, listen to the keeper. The keeper is the one that gets the job done. If you don't optimize for the keeper, you're just doing wishful thinking. And wishful thinking is going to frustrate you because you're going to wake up in the morning and you will see your own potential. You wake up in the morning and you will dream. You're just never going to achieve those dreams. And there is a satisfaction that comes from pursuit. Even though you don't get the thing done, you know that you gave it your best shot, right? No regret there because you did everything that you could. It's the you that faces the blank page, starts the project, hits the streets to get clients, sends 100 emails a day, says nice things to annoying clients, saves at the expense of your own wants, maintains a diet at a family dinner or on a date to stay fit. It's the keeper that's in the process the longest. Finally, the winner gets to experience the pride, the confidence, the benefit that comes from a well-executed plan. One of the most profound things that I think Alex Hormozi said is, you don't become confident by standing in front of the mirror and saying a bunch of affirmations to yourself. You become confident by a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And how do you get a stack of undeniable proof? It's by doing the things you say you will do, fulfilling the promises that you make to yourself. A lot of people find it easier to fulfill their promises to other people than they do fulfilling their promises to themselves. And that's not fair to you, right? Because there's a version of you, there's a more fulfilling, there's a more advanced, more intelligent, wealthier version of you that's inside, that's begging to come out. But that version of you is on the other side of the things that you get done. Right. So you're denying yourself of your potential when you don't fulfill your promises to yourself. You say you wake up at 4, then get your ass up at 4. You say you're going to read, then go read. You said you're going to make 100 calls, make 100 calls. You said you're going to talk to someone, pick up the phone, make the call. Like, a lot of people's unachievement is not a result of not actually achieving things. It's a result of not really doing what they say they'll do. So before you say that you're in a terrible position, before you say that it's not working, the question is, what have you done? Okay, so the winner gets to experience the benefits of getting stuff done or the pain of not getting stuff done. And that explains projection bias. The second reason for the gap is you don't want it. That thing you think, you say you want so badly, the thing you made plans for, you don't really want it. Deep down, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. Charles Houghton Cooley has a profound quote that says, "I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am. I'm who I think you think I am." And this goes to say that a lot of our ideas, our beliefs, our thoughts, how we make sense of the world are not always ours. Dan Coe once asked, who wrote the code in your head? And that's a great question, because our idea of who we are is completely mental, mind programs, let's call it. I'm writing codes in your mind as you watch this video, and thanks for letting me. But are you also letting the wrong people and ideas in? Family, friends, colleagues, the internet? The internet makes it possible, hell, seamless, for an unbelievable amount of ideas to penetrate your thoughts and shape who you are without your permission on a daily basis. On Instagram alone, over 100 million photos and videos are posted every day. Success, work, happiness, relationships, they're all painted to you in different ways. And now you want to be like this person and that person. You want what this person has and what that person has. And it's okay, not like you shouldn't, but over-scrolling makes it increasingly harder for you to listen to yourself and access your source code, who you are, who you really are, and what you want. Don't get me wrong, it's not all terrible and stuff. I've learned from the internet. You're learning from the internet right now. But I also think that the block and unfollow buttons are way more important than the like and the comment. And I don't hesitate to use them when I come across ideas and thoughts and content without context. Because content minus context equals disaster code in your mind. And that's the tiny bit of trouble with short form content. It's why long form contents like books, lectures, podcasts, newsletters still win if you want to write good mind programs. Otherwise, you may be acting on relationship advice from a 30-second clip of someone who failed at it and is seeking attention by pursuing your attention. And you're listening because they dress nice, have a mic, and they sound smart, and you don't even know it. Most people don't know what they want, and some that do don't know why they want those things. So take a day off, be by yourself, no internet or any communication interrupting your flow of thoughts. Just exist, do nothing until your mind stops struggling and quiets down, and then your essence, the real you, starts to surface. Then get a notepad and a pen and write about yourself. Nothing specific, just write. Keep writing, and when you're done writing, write again until you're done for the day. Make it your task for that day to write. Soon enough, you'll access your source code. You tell stories about yourself that you didn't think were there, right? Ask yourself questions and answer them in writing. Questions like, who am I? What do I want? Why do I want this? Right? When you get to a point that it gets difficult and you're confused, don't ignore it. That's good. It's a point of needed clarity. Get a book, get a podcast, find a resource that can help you gain some more clarity in that area. The point is, deep down, you may not want that thing that you're pursuing, and that can diminish the sense of mission that you should have. And not having a sense of mission can negatively impact your pursuits, making your journey less fulfilling and harder altogether. Now to the third reason for the gap: defensive failure. Defensive failure is what happens when we want to achieve something and we constantly think about it, but we don't do it. Now, this sounds like procrastination, but it's not. Procrastination is reviewing a plan that you've not implemented for the 10th time. With defensive failure, you believe that at the core of success is talent or something that you don't have, and that some people are wired to do it better than you. We believe that if we try, we will fail, and so our brains, our identities prefer the smaller failure of not trying. Of course, you did badly on your first attempt, and many attempts after that. The fact that it's difficult does not mean that it's not for you. I'm glad that you stayed this far, because understanding the gap is super important. Now let me give you the 3 must-knows to plan in a way that increases your chances of doing and achieving. 1. Understand yourself. What you do, what you plan to do, has to be what is best suited for you. There are no 2 people exactly like you. No one has your childhood, your parents, your background, experiences, influences growing up, memories. You must understand yourself and be honest with yourself. You're different. And you can change. People change. In fact, you should change. It's called growth. But first, understand yourself. Walking helps me decompress and channel creative energy. Running my work better for you. Or shooting at the range, or gaming. Or a cup of tea and sitting in silence. You gotta know you. Be honest with you. If you want to study more and you have a short attention span, there's no point in trying to study for 4 hours every day, even though you're watching someone do it and they seem great. Right, you know that you will almost certainly quit. The fact that it works doesn't mean it's for you or that it'll work for you. So how about you try an increment of 20 minutes, right? And maybe you can do that 5 times in different buckets throughout the day. You'd have had an hour long of meaningful study rather than 4 hours of pain that will almost certainly lead you to quit. The whole point of starting is you have to start where you are. You can't be at point A and go start something at point B. You're not there. Simple logic. You can't run a race starting at the finish line. Everyone starts at the starting line. And maybe in 2 weeks you get better at it, or your behavior changes. Hooray for you, you're growing. Now you can go back to your plan and say, I used to do this for 20 minutes. Now I can do it for a straight hour. Now I can run a mile. Now I can make 50 calls. Now I can do this and that. So if you've overestimated or underestimated your capacity in your plan, as you execute your plan and you learn, go back to your plan and adjust the plan. It's why planning is not a one-off thing. Anyone who is executing a plan is also someone who is going back and forth to that plan to make meaningful changes to it. One of the things making plans and executing plans will do for you is it will teach you about yourself. You find efficient ways of doing things. You find your own way of doing things. What you want is a progressive understanding of yourself, who you are, how you behave, what makes you tick, how you're changing. This will help you plan more honestly. You'd be able to lean on your strengths, embrace and work on your weaknesses. I've met people that make plans like they won't be the ones to execute it. So here's a bonus for you. This is one of the best personality tests you can take anywhere in the world right now. It's pretty inexpensive, so yeah, I hope you check it out. I think there's a free one. If I find it, I'll put the link in the description as well. But this one's pretty inexpensive, so you should be good either way. Okay? To the second must know. Now that you understand yourself, you need to understand the world around you. Be honest about your environment and your situation. Allocate the time, energy, and resources that you can honestly afford when you plan. And this is part of eliminating projection bias, which I will get to in a bit. If you go back to the plans you've made in the past, and you should, the things you're not happy about are likely the things that you worked the least on. And the reason is almost always because you are located wrongly. Your situation will not stop you if you properly factor it in, even if you consider your situation terrible. You probably have work, school, family, your health, and things you can't just abracadabra away. If you plan like those things don't exist, you're already wrong. So there are things that you'd like to afford, you may even have capacity for, but you can't because of your environment. Now, I'm not saying don't exhaust your capacity or stretch yourself, but be progressive about it. Going from 0 to 100 would most likely not be sustainable. Well, except for the first few days, after which you will almost always fall back to the reality of your environment. Except you're changing your environment altogether, you have to progressively build capacity and increase execution. You can tweak your environment to give you the space and time you need to do more. Make a few more friends who are parents so you can plan play dates for your kids away from home. Do something nice for your partner so they'll let you get away with coming to bed late. Plan a getaway for your kids with their grandparents. That's a couple extra hours a week. Not if you ignore the reality though. Doing more than what you plan will give you a boost. Doing less will demoralize you. So it's better to go from less to more than from more to less. If you're not in a stable environment, make plans that work in that chaos. Pay your environmental and situational dues so that you can buy the space and time that you need. Like I said, your situation will not stop you, even if you consider your situation terrible, as long as you plan for it. Finally, eliminate projection bias. I already showed you how to do this. Bring the 3 versions of yourself to the planning table: the planner, the keeper, the winner. The version of you making plans should consider the version of you that will execute those plans. Be ambitious, but ground yourself. At some point, you might have to decide whether you want to be more committed or less ambitious. Either way is fine as long as you keep it going. Plans are not cast in stone. They shouldn't be. Even goals change. The whole point of setting goals and making plans is to take on the adventure of your life and reach for something that you want but is not readily within your grasp. Now, as you do this, as you take on the adventure of your life, you will learn new things about yourself. You will learn new things about the world. You will change. And as you change, so should your plans and sometimes your goals. The point is to walk the path that brings you to your higher self. The point is that you're someone today that you weren't a week ago. You have something, you know something, you can do something today that you couldn't 1 week ago. Something that brings you 1, 2, 3 steps closer to that version of yourself that you dream about. Because you said you'd do something and you did it. The keeper version of you should also keep an eye on the winner, because a reminder of who you want to be, of where you're headed, is important, is very, very useful, can keep your head in the game. Try an anti-vision as well. I put a tiny note on my alarm that says what's going to happen if I don't wake my ass up. It keeps me up when my alarm rings and I still want to sleep, right? I just see the tiny note that says, dude, if you don't get up and do the work, this is the person that you're going to become. And I don't want to be that person, so I get up, right? Who you're going to become if you don't execute your plan, that's an anti-vision, the opposite of your vision. Because at every point you're executing your plan, you're choosing your future self over your current self. When it's inconvenient, you are choosing what you want tomorrow over what you want now. You want to party, sleep, watch movies now, but you want to be sound, intelligent, and leave people in awe in that interview or presentation or conversation tomorrow, because that takes you forward. So you do your quota of reading and practice today. You choose tomorrow, today. I've published an article every day on Medium until I hit 700 posts. It got me gigs, got me into rooms, helped me find my voice, but it was tough. I wanted to give up probably more times than I can recall. These ideas kept me going. So let's do a recap. To close the gap, understand yourself, understand the world around you, and eliminate projection bias. P.S. Don't forget to take the personality test if that's something you've been wanting to do. Keeping that in mind, now, when you make plans, you can do the things you already know how to do. Set goals, set a timeline, break them down to your daily to-dos, set milestones. If you want to make $1 million or say read 20 books this year, it's better if you do it in bits of 5 every quarter. So that way it's less overwhelming. You get to win multiple times in your journey. I use Evernote, Google Calendar, and my Resilience in Words planner, which is basically a notepad, except that it's like 10 times better. It has a finite list of to-dos, space for me to journal, and notes if I need them. It also has daily bits of motivational quotes and words that just like get you going. So I'll leave the link to it in the description. Go get it, and hopefully it helps you as well. Though I will say that the tools don't matter. The tools only help you do what you already want to do. So use what you're comfortable with. The last thing I will say is this: while you're at it, seek support and accountability. You're good on your own, but you're better with people. Communities are one of the most effective ways to learn consistency and accountability. Before I could keep up with writing every day, I wrote for 100 days straight with a community of other writers and creatives. We were shipping our work every single day. When I was late to ship my work, someone called or texted and said, "Hey, I haven't read your post today. What's going on? Are you okay? Do you need some help?" And when they were late to ship their work as well, I was there for them, right? We're all there for each other as backstops to ensure that no one fell off the wagon, right? So that was super helpful. If you want to join the next batch, I will leave the link to it in the description as well. I think it's olabanji.com/100 days, but yeah, just go check the description and the link will be there. I started podcasting as a part of the Carbon Almanac community. Now, Jennifer and Leaky never let me doubt myself. We didn't have it all figured out, but it was way easier moving together. When our podcast was new, we had hundreds of people in the community listen to it, share us on, give us feedback, right? There's so many communities online. Find a tribe of people like you, join, and be ready to contribute. You don't have to not execute your plans anymore. You don't have to fail at executing your plans. Hell, go get those plans you've made in the past. If you still want to do those things, you can. Remember, planning is not the end. It's a journey, it's a process, it's a skill, and you can get really, really good at it. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on my next video and all the book reviews and summaries that I'll be doing. Cheers.